substantial, substantial, stall out, stall out, prod, prod, immunity, immunity, prosecution, prosecution, stage, stage, coup, coup, realistic, realistic, retire, retire, retiree, retiree. Hopes for substantial cuts in interest rates are fading. The latest reading of the Fed's most closely watched inflation measure showed this morning that price increases remain notably faster than the policymakers' goal of 2%. It was just the latest sign that after months of steady improvement in 2023, progress on cooling inflation is stalling out. The data could prod the Fed to keep borrowing costs high for a longer period, as many economists are now forecasting. The Supreme Court's conservative majority appears likely to rule that ex-presidents have some immunity from prosecution. That would narrow the federal January 6th case against Donald Trump and make it less likely that he would face trial before the 2024 election. The court usually issues major rulings in late June or early July. Even that could be enough to delay Trump's trial past the election. During arguments, several justices focused on presidential power generally rather than Trump. "We're writing a rule for the ages," Justice Neil Gorsuch said. Trump's lawyer suggested that criminal immunity could apply even if a president ordered the military to kill a rival or stage a coup. Workers aren't very realistic about when they'll retire. Some 28% of workers said they expected to retire at a median age of 65, up from 23% a year ago, according to the Employee Benefit Research Institute. The actual median age of retirement has been 62 for several years. 3/4 of people anticipate continuing to work more after retirement. Only 30% of retirees said they have actually done so. Being overly optimistic impacts how workers save for retirement. Yen. Yen. Renowned. Renowned. Avid. Avid. Overseas. Overseas. Tepid. Tepid. Outbound. Outbound. The yen touched its weakest level against the dollar in 34 years. Once renowned as avid overseas tourists, Japanese travelers are staying closer to home. A weaker yen, high airfares, and tepid wage growth are keeping outbound travel stuck well below pre-pandemic levels. Meanwhile, a record number of tourists visited the island nation last month. Pot. Pot. Restrictive. Restrictive. Marijuana. Marijuana. Heroin. Heroin. Money laundering. Money laundering. Prosecutor. Prosecutor. Plead guilty. Plead guilty. credit, credit, willingness, willingness. Justice Department officials plan to submit a proposal for White House review that would move pot out of the government's most restrictive drug classification, people familiar with the matter said. Marijuana has been designated as a Schedule I drug since 1970, alongside LSD and heroin. A proposal might not be made public for weeks, and it couldn't immediately be determined how much the Biden administration would seek to relax restrictions. Changpeng Zhao, the billionaire founder of the giant cryptocurrency exchange Binance, was sentenced today to 4 months in prison for money laundering violations. It was significantly less than the 3 years prosecutors had demanded for Zhao, who pleaded guilty last year. Zhao resigned as chief executive of Binance in November. Until then, he had been in charge of the largest crypto company in the world. Prosecutors said Zhao had credited the company's growth in part to his willingness to defy U.S. law.